Hey everybody, I'm back again with another anime review, which is a kind of a special review because I'm only gonna be reviewing one season of it. Today I'm gonna be reviewing Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 Season 1. Now the reason I'm reviewing Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 is because, like I said this in my first anime review and in the description of the playlist and all that crap, I will only be reviewing animes that I've seen and that are finished. Like, for example, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 is still going, so I shouldn't be reviewing it, but the reason why I will explain. That's why I'm reviewing it. But before we get into it, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, created by the same people that make Yu-Gi-Oh! Like all the time, came out April 6th, April 4th, 2014, and it is still going to this day. It is on Season 2, Episode 56, I think. I have no idea. But our main hero for this time, his name is Yuya Sakaki, a 14-year-old middle school kid who just wants to be a great duelist and wants to put smiles on the fans' faces with his new dueling entertainment dueling, which is basically a circus dueler. A circus duelist, basically. He's basically what he is. He's a circus duelist. But like every Yu-Gi-Oh, they introduce a new type of summoning, and now the new type of summoning is called pendulum summoning. Pendulum summoning is basically monster cards that you can use them as monster cards, or you can put them in your pendulum zone as magic or trap cards. It sounds kind of OP. Honestly, it's not, because it's kind of hard to use pendulum monsters. In my experience, anyway, I play Yugioh Pro, and I've only seen like 2 people who were really good at using pendulum cards. But another thing about this Yu-Gi-Oh is that this is the first Yu-Gi-Oh to introduce every type of summoning, and including the new one, pendulum summoning. Now, basically the season 1 starts out with Yuya Sakaki trying to be the best, trying to put smiles on everyone's faces by dueling with his entertainment dueling, and yeah, it's just dueling, 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 and then a tournament happens, and then some type of dimensional war starts occurring, and it all just goes crazy. Nobody knows this except for the Seto Kaiba of the show. That's what I call, if you're wondering, the Seto Kaiba of the show, I call Seto Kaiba is from Yu-Gi-Oh! And he's the one with the attitude. The one, and if you were to ask me, like, oh, you mean a person that acts like Kaiba? Yeah. Like, for example, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, Chaz Princeton acts like Kaiba. Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, obviously Jack Atlas acts like Kaiba. Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexo, Shark acts like Kaiba. And now in this one, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, a man named Akiba Leo. I always forget his name. But he's the Kaiba of the show, and he acts just like Kaiba too. But yeah, I can't go much into it because I don't want to talk about season 2. But basically, aside from new pendulum cards, they introduce a new type of dueling, which is called action duels, which is basically interactive dueling. So instead of just standing there summoning cards, you could run around the field, jump onto your monster, all that kind of crap. You can even go inside. For example, if you activate this field spell, Skyscraper, you could go inside the skyscrapers and all that crap. The reason why it's called action duels is because aside from that, there's also these spell cards called action cards that scatter around the duel field, and you can grab only one. You can only hold one action card at a time, and you can use those cards when you're in a pinch. Now, the reason why I'm reviewing Season 1 only and not waiting until this series is completed, because first of all, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! It's going to take a really long time. Secondly, this Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, does not take place in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Timeline. Cause first there's Yu-Gi-Oh! And then after Yu-Gi-Oh! is Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, which takes place a couple years after. Then Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, which takes place like a bit into the future. Then Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexo, which obviously takes place way into the future. And now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 is the same shit as every Yu-Gi-Oh! But it has its own original story. Meaning that this Yu-Gi-Oh! It has nothing to do with the previous Yu-Gi-Oh! Timelines. This Yu-Gi-Oh! is in its own timeline. And the main story right now is crossing dimensions because in this Yu-Gi-Oh timeline, think of it as Action Comics, Detective Comics, DC New 52, whatever you want to call it. Think of it like DC Comics, how DC Comics has multiple Earths. Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 3, you get the point. Earth 1 being the main Earth. Now, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, think of it like that, where Yugioh's planet, Earth, is basically Earth 1. And then there's Earth 2, which is basically Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, which is the fusion dimension. Earth 3 is the synchro dimension, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Earth 4 is the XYZ dimension, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexo. Maybe they're gonna put a Earth 5 because the fusion dimension obviously is fusion monsters, synchro is synchro monsters, Zexo is XYZ monsters. There's also ritual monsters in this show and pendulum monsters, so maybe they're gonna add Earth 5 for ritual monsters and Earth 6 for pendulum monsters. Who knows? But now it's a dimensional war where the fusion dimension is trying to conquer all the other dimensions so they can combine all the dimensional Earths into one Earth. Which I guess it sounds okay, but the way the fusion dimension is doing it, they're basically invading other planets. They're basically invading Earth. And they're dueling people and sealing them into cards. And the fusion people are kinda psychotic. If you watch the show, you'll see what I mean. Now, this is gonna be kind of spoilers because I'm only gonna say one thing from season 2. I like Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. Right now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 is probably one of my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! shows. The reason why I find this dimension crap kind of stupid how I find that it diverts from the Yu-Gi-Oh! timeline, which is stupid as well, is because in season 2, the first dimension they go to is the synchro dimension, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. And guess who you find in the synchro dimension? In the opening for season 2 and in the latest episode, the opening for season 2, they show Crow Hogan and Jack Atlas from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. And in the latest episode, they met Crow Hogan. Now you're probably wondering, hey, maybe Yusei's gonna be in there. Honestly, I highly doubt Yusei will be in there because, like I said, it's an original story. Meaning, if it's an original story and if it doesn't take place with the other Yu-Gi-Ohs, then the main characters of each Yu-Gi-Oh is not gonna be there. Which honestly, I do hope Yusei's there, cause come on, you got Jack and you got Crow. Put the entire fucking 5Ds team, please. But that would be incredible. But I'm gonna stop myself before I go more into season 2. And yes, there's deal wheelers because they're in the single dimension. Now, I always do this, the good and bad things, and I recently started rating the animes. Honestly, I have nothing but good things towards Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. I love it. It's incredible. They introduce every type of summoning, and like every Yu-Gi-Oh! Does this. Whenever the first episode comes on, they show you how to duel. And they show you how to use each freaking card they use. It's awesome for newbies and for people like veterans like us, who've seen all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Shows and all the movies and blah 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 blah. Now, if I was to rate it in my own little scoring system, honestly, I would rate it as 10 out of 10 because, first of all, every type of summoning, every type of spell card, everything is in this anime. And extra points because they're introducing Jack and Crow Hogan. I mean, that is incredible. Now that Jack and Crow's in the anime, you do not know what to expect. Because who knows? Maybe they're going to put Yusei, Akiza. Who freaking knows? I honestly hope they do this. But I'm not going to go more into the plot because that would be spoiling. If I was to recommend this to anybody, yeah, I would recommend this to newbies and as well Yu-Gi-Oh! Veterans because this anime is really great and I highly recommend it. But that's all I got to say for now. I will see you guys next time in whatever anime I ever watch. Bye-bye.